Good morning. Welcome to our Talks with Anthony. Today we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being, right? In today's conversation, we're going to be talking about creating routines that support your mental health, right? So I really want people to take consideration that you can burn yourself out, right? But you got to be able to build the consistencies so you're able to get what you want to get, but you also got to have a balance so you're able not to burn yourself out, right? So if you're trying to keep and develop that consistency, like I said, you can do it, but you also got to have that discipline and recognize that you got to be able to recover and rest off rip. So let's get into it. So off rip in regards to normalization, in regards to de-shaming, many people are taught to, equate the consistency by showing up at their full capacity, being on 10 all the time. This ignores, the fluctuation of the natural aspect of mental and that emotional energy, right? So burnout is often the result of overriding the limits, not failing to try, right? So you got to be able to take consideration that if your body is telling you it needs some rest, you got to be able to recover. You got to do what's going to be beneficial for you so you're able to replenish yourself, right? So if you're out here pushing yourself to the limit, right, you're burning yourself out, right? So you're able to be consistent, have the discipline, and you're able to create these routines, but you also got to have balance, right? So I want us to take that in consideration. So it's not about you being inconsistent. Once again, you can keep trying your best to come up and show up for yourself, but you also got to be real with yourself, right? And really look at the unrealistic expectations that you're putting on yourself, because like I said, you just don't want to burn yourself out. So pulling into some psychoeducation to get ourselves more grounded. Consistency is about patterns over time, not intensity in the moment, right? So you can have good patterns, you can be building yourself up, right? But you're not supposed to be burning yourself out, like I said, pushing too hard, right? The brain and the nervous system requires recovery to maintain that effort. Like I said, the body needs to replenish, it needs that energy. We got to get back to the get back. So you got to be able to have that balance. You know what I mean? I also tell people too, sometimes get away from the job, get away from the work, right? Because when you have like more mindfulness, you're doing more solitude, you're able to think about yourself, how you feel, rest, recover, right? You come back to the job with more energy and you're able to really give it your best, right? So I really want to take in consideration, because that's why vacations, that's why mental health days, or even like, self-care days for yourself is really good. So you're able to replenish and get that energy back, right? We're pulling it back, right? So repeated pushing through, like I said, brings that exhaustion and can create that resistance and avoidance, right? So when you're pushing through, sometimes, for instance, if you're out here trying to get into the gym, sometimes when you're pushing too hard, sometimes you don't want to even go back because it's just like, oh my gosh, it was just too much, right? So little steps add into the big picture, right? So I really want you to have that foresight. But like I said, we got to be able to have that mindful balance to be able to get where we want to get in regards to that direction where we're trying to be, right? So you could be sustainable in regards to that consistency, finding what works for you, understand what energies, what you have. You may not have it for today, you'll get back tomorrow, but you want to be able to, like I said, maintain that consistency with that balance. So practical reframing in regards to how can we be more consistent, differently, right? Some key points I want to bring off rip is going to be lower the minimum requirement, right? So you got to be able to take consideration. You don't got to get all things done today, right? Just try your best to get some things done, and be realistic in regards to the expectations that you're putting on yourself, right? In addition to that, to adjust your effort to match your current capacity, right? So every day is going to be a different day, right? It fluctuates. Some days are going to be good, sweet. You're going to have the energy. Some days you're not, right? So be gentle to yourself. Have that compassion for yourself, right? Do what's beneficial for you, and you can be able to modify as you go, right? So redefine consistency as repeatable, right? Not maximization, right? So it's a repeatable thing, it's a repeatable pattern. So the more consistent that you are for yourself, that's going to keep you disciplined. That's going to keep, for you to be able to get towards the outcome that you want for yourself. However, you got to be able to, like I said, have that balance, right? So we could be doing good for ourselves, but it's going to be causing us a disservice if we're burning ourselves out or just doing too much, right? So I want us to, like I said, take a couple steps back, really think about these things, be mindful, right? Where we going, right? But good things, take time. So I really want to take that in consideration as well. Like I want to emphasize, right? So consistency isn't about, like I said, doing the most. It's doing what you can to come back tomorrow, right? Can you show up tomorrow? You're going to have energy for tomorrow, right? Take it easy on yourself, right? So like I said, 5 minutes instead of 30 minutes to break it down. Like I said, for people out there that are just kind of overwhelmed off rip, start small. So one task you can do instead of a full routine. So let's start with one thing, right? Showing up imperfectly, right? Instead of not trying to have it all, do it all, like have everything perfect. You know what I mean? Like just try your best to be, like I said, realistic to yourself. You don't gotta be perfect. Everything gotta get done today, right? A house can't be built in a one day, you feel me? Like I said, good things take time. So the more kind that you are to yourself, the more consistent that you are showing up for yourself, the more that you're able to have the self-awareness and recognize what's going on, what's your energy levels, what's your capacity, you're going to be best suited to be able to, like I said, get the rewards of whatever you're trying to do, right? So leave your energy to return. You want to be able to save yourself, have energy for tomorrow, right? Pour into yourself, make sure you're taking that sleep, that recovery, you're eating well, right? And this is how you're going to be able to build that consistency, right? So closing this video up, I just want to be able to take in consideration that burnout isn't a failure, right? It's feedback. We got to be able to register what's going on. We got to be more intentional. We got to be more intuitive. We got to be able to, like I said, do this reflective work to be able to understand what's going on with us, right? So burnout isn't proof that you aren't trying to be consistent. It's basically trying to give you that information that you got to be able to take in consideration of what's going on with your body, your mind, right? And what's sustainable for you, right? So I want you to listen to yourself, right? And I want you to be able to build from there, right? But like I said, pulling it back again, we can build, but we also got to have what? Got to have balance, right? So if you found this video beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share it possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.